my testimony, I've got like a three-part testimony. Mine is, it's kind of, first of all, I want to say a testimony is about what God does to you, not being judgmental for what the person did in his life until God grabbed a hold of you and changed you. So mine is like a three-part. It is, I call it Amazing Grace, Running with the Devil, and then I'll Fly Away. That's basically exactly what it is. So I'll start out. When I was a kid, we went to church with Brother Jeremy. Brother Don was the preacher. We did stuff. I was in the youth, involved with the youth. We did a lot of games, did a lot of stuff. Don and them kept the youth active, and I think that's what helped me in my life, is starting out young. I can remember going to the youth retreats, remember going to church, Sunday school. Actually, Marie was there too. It's been a long time, but I can remember the day that I got saved. I went to Jeremy, of course, with kids. I think I was about 12 or 13 years old. And I had listened in class. And that's what it takes really to pay attention. You've got to listen, you've got to learn, you've got to want to believe, you've got to believe to do this. I told Jeremy, I said, I believe today's the day I want to get saved. He just looked at me. And I said, yeah, today's my day. I know God's real. I want to ask God into my heart. And I talked to him, so we went to Brother Don and talked to him. And he was like, are you sure? He's going, I don't know about you, but I said, yes, sir, I'm ready. I'm ready to accept the Lord in my heart. I want everybody to know. So we went back to the room where we went to church, and I got saved, and I was laughing the whole time. I was laughing, and Don was just like, what are you laughing at? I said, I'm just so happy. I can't believe this is happening. This is happening to me. I can't believe this is happening. Well, after that, about 2 weeks later, of course, Jeremy and I got saved right there about the same time. About 2 weeks later, we got baptized. Of course, we was baptized by Brother Don. First it was Jeremy, and then here I came. And I can remember Don talking when he was sitting there before he put me underwater, and he was saying my name, this and that. He said, and I'm telling you, my son got baptized today too, and if there's any two in this world that needed this, it's these two. Boom. And he sunk me right up underneath the water. Went right under. And I come back up, and I just looked at him and said, no, just go on. So that's what I did. So I stayed involved in church through my youth. Went to church every Sunday night, and every Wednesday. I either rode my bicycle to church or rode my motorcycle to church. My parents didn't tell me to go. I made that choice myself. Nobody else made it for me. So for years, of course, Brother Don left. Then there was 2 or 3 other pastors that was there. And on Wednesday nights, we had class. And I learned a lot by being involved in church. You will not learn none of this unless you're involved, unless you're willing to learn, and you let God take your heart and teach you what you need to be taught. So I went through that. I was a pretty good kid. My mom and dad may say different, but I was a pretty good kid. Didn't get in trouble in school. Parents pretty much spoilt me. They gave me anything that I wanted. When I was 16 years old, I had a 69 Camaro. I was over at my grandparents' house. And I can still remember to this day when we was leaving their house and we come to our house, about probably from here to the top of the hill, right over here, you could see a street light where our house is at. When we turned that curve by the power station, seen a car sitting there. Like, who's at the house? Then I got about so far close to it, and it was a '69 Camaro sitting there. And my parents looked at me, they said, Merry Christmas. Of course, I got out like a 16-year-old kid would over a '69 Camaro. My car was flames. It had flames all the way down the side of it. Had anything on that car that you could imagine that a 16-year-old didn't need to be driving. That's what it was. So after I turned 16, started driving my car to church. And things started changing, started getting a little older, started running around with different people. And I will tell you this, I don't care what anybody tells you, you are who you run with. I don't care what anybody says. That is the truth. So I went from riding my bicycle to church to riding a motorcycle to driving my car. And one thing that really bothered me one day that I went to church, one night I went to church, the people didn't know I heard what they said. And the reason I'm telling you this is you need to watch what you say, because your words can steer somebody this way, or that way. And that's just the bottom line. I parked my car, went up the side door. The door didn't latch. It shut but didn't latch, and it was cracked about a half inch. And I was standing there and heard a guy tell another guy, I can't believe that boy drove that car to this church. The other guy said, well, what are you talking about? He said, that's Satan's car. It's got flames all the way down the side of it. And I heard that, and I was like, okay. You're just mad because I got a '69 Camaro. I'm sorry. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm not saying that was a turning point in my life, because I was 16 then, around 17, almost 18. That's when my testimony jumps into the running with the devil stage. That's what it is. And like I said, the only reason I said anything about that car and what that guy said to me, it is so critical what you say to people. You might not think they are around you, beside you, or anything. They can be right beside of you and you don't even know it. And you just literally stomp them, rub them in the ground. That's how it made me feel that night. But going on to this. I was in high school, didn't play sports. I rode four-wheelers, rode motorcycles, raced four-wheelers, three-wheelers. I was into more of that. And then here come the running with the devil to the partying stage of, here, try this. Nah, man, I go to church, this. And then you take that loop of what I talked about a while ago, you are who you run with. And if Satan's opened that door, or he's sitting there knocking on that door, you will open it if you don't watch it. You'll grab that knob and you'll open that door, and buddy, here he comes. Just like lightning. So I started drinking, started doing other stuff. Of course, we got caught. Me and Jeremy got in trouble all the time with us kids. One night was Halloween. Of course, y'all know the story about us stealing the dummy from his parents and hanging it on the bridge, because Brother Don, here he comes, right beside us, and we got caught. Every time we did something, we got caught. One night, me and Jeremy, now Jeremy was a little younger than me. I'd probably been drinking a little bit. And of course, hey, Jeremy, come here. Well, there was a cop beside the I-24 bridge by where we lived. Said, I got an idea. And of course, I could talk Jeremy into doing anything. It didn't matter. Y'all know about me. He talks about me all the time. So I said, let's go to my parents' house. There's a bag of cans out there behind the house. I said, let's get some string. Let's sneak up here and let's tie these cans to this cop car. I said, he's in it. We'll have to be quiet. He said, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it with you. I said, you sure? Yeah. So here we go, Halloween. Me and him crawled on our stomach, probably from, I'm going to say from here to the restaurant over there, with dragging a bag. You'd hear that bag. So we crawled up there, and we tied these cans to this cop car. Then we hit the side of the cop car, took off. That is part of running with the devil. It always starts out little. You start out small. And then Satan keeps stepping you up, stepping you up, stepping you up. So you get involved more with drinking, involved with drugs. You get involved with people that drink all the time, that do drugs all the time. You lead a life of, how would you say this? You're not living for yourself, you're living for Satan is who you're living for. So for years, from 18, 19 to 20, I drank a little bit, did a few other stuff. I don't want nobody to kick me out of church, so I won't tell y'all what all I did. That went on for a few years. When I was 20 years old, I got married. Thought I ruled the world. I was married. Done got kicked out of my parents' house. They kicked me out because they found some leafy green stuff in the house that I'd snuck in there. And I've been out on my own since I was right at 17. That's how, like I said, if you let Satan run your life, he's going to control your life. He's going to let you do what you want to do. So, got married, got worse. If nobody has experienced any of this, you don't know how it is to live that life. You think it's fun. You get up, you live for it because that's what you do. That's exactly what goes on in your life 24/7. Get up, go to work, come home, drink a beer, do this, till you go to sleep, get up, go to work, come home, and start it all over. It's just a cycle. Every week it's the same thing. So that went on for a few years. When I was 21, I had my first son. Partying still continued. Another year and a half later, had my second son. Then I still drank quite a bit. And I'll tell y'all guys, I'm not proud of it. I'll tell you, I drank a case of beer a day almost for 10 years. That's how much I drank, was a case a day, every day, plus whatever else I did. So after I had my second kid, it continued for a few years. And I thought to myself, well, you know, I'm getting a little older. I might need to change. Started going to church. Started trying to help in the youth. Now, this is still running with the devil stage. You've got to keep that in mind. Tried to go to church. Tried to get involved with the kids. Tried to be there. And the key word is, I tried. I tried to do it. So that went on for probably, I'm going to say, till I was 26 till I was about 28, I tried everything that I thought was the right way, going to church, coming home, drinking, getting up Sunday, going to church, coming home, drinking Sunday afternoon, going to work, going to church on Wednesday night, coming home and drinking. And that didn't work. I was at work one day, and my wife called me. She said, I'm leaving, and don't call me. Don't come looking for me. And of course, I was right at 30 years old. My first reaction was I was on the phone at work. I said, if you're leaving, why would I come looking for you? And I kind of laughed, I was kind of like, I ain't worried about her. I'll go home and drink me a beer. Not worried about it. Hung the phone up. I was at work. Stayed at work. Went home. I went home to an empty house. My kids wasn't there. My family wasn't there. Nobody was there but me. That's who was there, was me. No problem. Open the refrigerator. Boom. Not a problem. I can drink this one away too. I've done all the other ones for the last 10 years. I can do this one too. So I continued to drink. And then I got talking to my mom, talking to my dad. My dad started giving me cassette tapes that he had. Yes, this was back when cassette tapes was still all right. Of sermons that he had recorded. He'd call me every night and say, okay, I want you to read this. Read this. And then about 2 days later, he would call me back. He'd say, okay, do you know what this means? Yeah, Dad, this means this, this, this. No, it don't, son. That's what you think it means, but if you don't know the Hebrew language, you are going to mislead somebody. I thought, ooh, Dad's pretty smart, I guess. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. So, I'd go get me a drink again. And this went on for, I'm going to say, till I was probably 32-ish. And I started making myself go to church again. And it's so strange. Some people here is going to know what I'm talking about. Some people don't. When you say, I made myself go to church, you're just saying you're going to church. It's not for the right reason. It's to benefit yourself. And if you're going to church to benefit yourself, I'll just stomp on you and say you might as well not even be here on Sunday or Wednesday, because it has nothing to do about benefiting yourself. It's about that man upstairs, because he is the one that controls it all and can take care of you if you will let him. So I went through this stage. My mom would talk to me some more. My mom told me one night, she said, son, I love you. I said, well, Mom, I love you too. She said, but I'm going to tell you, your drinking and your partying is killing me. I said, Mom, you're not the one drinking. It's not bothering you, this. You're not, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. She'll say, she said, if you listen to me, your life will change. I said, Mom, I'm fine. I'm doing good. I'm fine. No problem. It's because my wife left me. I can do what I want to now. It don't matter. Or are you still, you're going to church, right? Yeah, I'm still going to church. Is that doing you any good? Well, yeah, it's doing me good. It's doing me real good. Can't you tell? No. Well, how do you know it's not doing me any good? Son, because I see you every Sunday when you come home, first thing you do is pop open a beer, turn your radio up. You're doing what you want to do again. You're not listening in church. You're just putting your body in church, not your heart and your soul in it. I said, Nah, I thought there for a little bit. I said, well, I'm going to have to go get me a drink and think about this. My mama's kind of getting to me. So this went on for another couple months. And I remember my mom looking at me. She, this was revolves around when I was in a custody battle with my kids. And my mom looked at me, and she said, I'm going to tell you what, son. I said, what, Mom? She said, I said, last night before I went to bed, I told God, I said a prayer. I said, well, that's good. I'm glad you did. She said, no, son, I finally, when I was praying, I told God, I said, God, I can't do it no more. I can't tell him what to do. I can't get him to change. I've done all I can do. And I said, well, here we go with this again. Then my mom looked at me, and she said, and you know what happened? I said, what? She said, I heard this voice in my ear that said, woe ye, a little faith. And I stopped. I said, what are you talking about? She said, God spoke to me last night. I said, well, what's that got to do with me? She said, it's got everything to do with you because you're the one that I was praying about. I said, okay. Now it's getting a little bit closer to home. So I would go for 2 weeks or so without drinking. And then I got custody of my kids. And that is very rare that a man gets custody of his kids. My kids was 4 and 6.5 when I got them. And to me, there's 2 things or 3 things right there that God spoke to me and said. Your mama's been praying for you. She done told you, I said, well, you have little faith. And now I've given you your kids. What more do I need to prove to you that you're living wrong? And I've already given you a blessing that your mom, I actually spoke to your mother that was a blessing, and now I've given you your 2 kids that is a blessing from me. What more must I do? I thought, boy, it's getting close to home now. This is some of them uh-oh moments that Jeremy talks about that me and him was involved in of now the eyes are starting to open. So I got my kids, started living better. I'm not going to say right, I'm going to say better. Then I would go 2 months, 3 months, wouldn't touch a drop of alcohol, nothing. Wait till the boys go to sleep. Then I'd pop me a beer open, nobody seen me. Nobody I thought was seeing me. So it went on for about a couple years that way. Ended up, my wife tried to, or ex-wife tried to take me back to court to take my kids. And I just thought to myself, I can't lose my kids. I'll do anything in the world to keep my kids with me. And then that's when my mind started thinking. You'll do anything in the world to keep your kids. Your mom's done told you. She's praying for you. You've already was involved in church when you was a kid. Then you run out on me, and what I'm saying run out on me, I'm saying run away from God. And you've got your kids. What more do you want? You know, I'm thinking to myself, what a fool. I am so just Swanee language. I am so stupid. That is, why would I put my kids in jeopardy? They've already lost their mom. I don't want to lose them. I know God is telling me, Mo, it's your time. It is your time. And when you know it's your time, you know it's your time. If you are a Christian, you know that. So, started going back to church for the right reason. Started listening to the preacher. Started back in the cassettes that my dad gave me. I would call my dad every other night. We'd speak. We'd talk about the Bible. He'd teach me stuff about the Bible. He'd teach me what the words meant. Because if you don't know Hebrew and Greek, the words in the Bible is sometimes just the opposite of what it is. So you've got to learn that before you teach somebody, or you'll teach them the wrong way. So I started going to church again. Got involved with youth again. And I was going back to the same church. Was doing good. I was thanking God for what He done for me because I love my kids. And I've got two. Zach and Taylor is my kids. Some of y'all may know the story on that. Some of you may not. Them kids, they are my kids from another marriage. I love them just like they are mine. And they know I will do anything in this world for them. It don't matter if it's walk through fire, I'll do it. So my two kids from my marriage helped me turn my life around. So I started going back to church, got involved, stayed involved, got into youth, and Jeremy was preaching at this church. Everything was going great. The youth was starting to build up. It was just going great. And I'm saying it like this again because I am stressing about watch what you say about people. Watch what you say about the person sitting next to you. Watch what you say about the person in front of you or behind you. Anybody out here, if you don't watch what you say, you can make somebody run out them doors right there faster than they come in here. And 90% of the time, they're not coming back. So, once again, everything was going good. Everything was going great. We was taking kids bowling. We was taking them to the movies. We was taking them here. We was taking them there. We had a good crowd. And we had taken the youth on a trip. And the church van, I took it upon myself to keep the church van detailed, to change oil in it, to rotate the tires on it. I took care of that church van. I wanted to make sure it was safe for the kids. So one Sunday morning, the Saturday night, we had taken them to the Calvert Drive-In. And walked into church, and one of the ladies in church come up to me. She said, "Did y'all have a good time last night?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, we had a good time. We took the kids to this movie. We had a good time." Told her about everything. And she looked at me. She said, "Well, let me tell you something." I said, "Okay." She said, one of the kids left a bubblegum wrapper in the van, in the floor. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, one of the kids left a bubblegum wrapper in the floor of my van." I said, "Well, we didn't go in your van. We took the church's van." She said, "That's my van." I said, "Okay." I said, well, I'm very sorry. I thought we took the church's van. I'm sorry, I didn't know we took your van. She said, no, that's my van. That's my van. I said, okay. So I sat there for the service, listened to the sermon. About 2 weeks later, 2 weeks went by, Jeremy calls me. He said, why haven't you been at church to use this? And I told him what happened. And my exact words was, I will not step foot back in that church. I'm not going back. Well, what happened? Told him what happened. He said, you've got to look over that. You've got to overcome that. You can't listen to stuff like that. You've got to let God take control. I said, Jeremy, I told you I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. He said, okay. Hung the phone up. And it was probably, now I'm going to put my testimony into I'll Fly Away. This is how God works. I've known Jeremy ever since he was a little kid. Jeremy tells on me every Sunday. But, see, I'm a little smarter than he is. What he don't realize is that big dummy is telling on himself every time he says something about me because he was with me. So I've got to say something about Jeremy anyway. He does. He talks about me all the time. So this is how God worked in my life. I can't speak for none of y'all out there. I'm going to tell y'all about my life. Okay, Tara and I had got married then. We'd been going to church there. That happened. Of course, the little spout, and I told Jeremy I wasn't coming back. Wasn't no way I was coming back. Like I said, about 6 weeks passed by. Jeremy come to my house, knocked on my door. Thought, here it goes. Here comes the preacher speech. And this is the part of my testimony of I'll Fly Away. I answered the door. I said, come on in. I said, I told you I'm not coming to church. He said, no, I want to talk to you. I said, you can talk to me about anything you want, but I am not going back to that church. I'm sorry. I'm not going. He said, no, sit down. So I sat down. He come up to me. He said, Mike, I've been praying. I said, oh, I have too. He said, no, I want you to listen to me. He said, me and my dad and a few other people have been praying. And that's the key word, praying. We have been praying. If we started a church and let God run that church, would you come? I said, Jeremy, I'm in. I said, I'd love to, because I need to be back in church. He said, okay. He said, we're praying about it. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going to happen. I said, well, I'll be praying too. And I'm a firm believer in praying. That's for sure. And the I'll Fly Away testimony started 6 years ago of meeting at Calvert, meeting at Kentucky Dam, meeting anywhere we could meet. What was that, Tim? Do you have something to say, buddy? Mike Miller Park. I can even remember when the church first started, when we all met up behind Kentucky Fried Chicken by Duckett Truck Center and looked at that building. And I thought, this might be a little different. Of course, me and my wife would talk, her kids. And the I'll Fly Away, that's so, I love that part. because this is where my life really changed. I became part of a church that did not judge me. I've got 14 or 15 tattoos. Y'all probably don't see all of them, but I do. If y'all seen them, you still wouldn't judge me, because that's what this church is about, being non-judgmental and giving God the glory of everything. Coming here brought me into a life that God tried to get me to do from when I was a kid. So I stayed faithful to this church. Some of y'all may not know it, some of you may. Since we've been going to this church, Tara and I had split up one time. And like I said, a testimony is about what God does for your life, not judging somebody. Tara and I split up for about 3 months. I actually came to church here and brought somebody else with me. And after that, I just went up to Tara one day after me and her split up. And I just told her, I said, Tara, I love you. I can't live without you. I want you back. What can we do to make this right? We gave it to God. We've been back together ever since. I'm not going to say we don't. I'm going to say we still pray, is what I'm going to say. We definitely still pray. And the reason why I said that is because of the people in this church. Nobody judged me nor her with what we did. So if it took her and I splitting up for 3 months to make my faith stronger, to make people say that, look, you can't judge them because look where they're at. They're faithful to God, they're faithful to the church. And I have not heard no one say anything bad about anybody in this church. I have not heard it. If I do hear it, I'll tell you. Not the person you're talking about, I'm going to come to you and tell you I heard it. This church, being involved in a healthy, godly church, will change you tremendously, because that's how your life starts. Like I said, you are who you run with. So this is me right here. I came church faithfully. I give it all to God now. I trust Him. I live for Him instead of living for myself. I give Him the glory for everything that happens to me, that don't happen. I still thank Him for it. Taylor's got a boyfriend. He's out working. He got called out because of the ice storm in Oklahoma. He's a lineman. And our conversations are who's going to pray at supper when he's over. We talk about God. We talk about Bible. We talk about church. We talk about what we are supposed to be talking about for the glory of God. We don't get up every Sunday or Wednesday. It's not, are you going to church Sunday? Are you going to church Wednesday? We don't even ask anymore. We don't have to, because we know that God's in our heart, and this is where we're coming. We're going to be here. That's just that. I don't care if water's this high in it. We're going to be here. And I'm getting ready to wrap this up, and the part of I'll Fly Away that I really, really love, and I thank God for it and give him the glory for it. I have changed so much from my 20s to now. I've gave my life back to Christ. I will not go back. Nobody in this church or outside of this church can make me go back to the way I lived. It's not going to happen. The good Lord, Jesus Christ, died on the cross for our sins. Man, I got to thinking the other night, the people that crucified Jesus Christ, he was hung on a cross like this. First of all, they was idiots for crucifying. And then I thought, looking at the cross, I thought, these people have no idea what they just did. They just opened his arms up as wide as they could go, and he can reach anybody he wants to. And that's what happened to me. He grabbed me. Now I have friends that call me and say, hey, Mo, this is going on, what should I do? I give them the right advice, because if I don't, I know it can backfire on me. Christ can take the happiness away from me. He can take my joy. He can take... You don't live for Christ to really get joy. You live for Christ because that's who he is. You live it for him, not for yourself. And it's just a blessing for my friends, and I even called Jeremy and tell him, I was like, hey man, this so-and-so's called me and blah, blah, blah. We talked about this. He said, I told you. All you had to do is stay committed and be with Christ, and he will tell you, he will show you exactly what to do. And one of the guys that called me comes to church here now. Another guy comes every once in a while. And I'll tell you this, that man right there sitting in the corner beside my wife is one of them that called me. And it makes a godly man so happy when you get to talk to somebody like that and you see them change their life around. But you better not take the glory for it. You better give it to God, because he's the one that deserves it, and he is the one that will get the credit for it from me. And that is my testimony from Amazing Grace, running with the devil, to I'll Fly Away. And thank y'all for having me, and I love every one of y'all.